Rightio team, how's it going? Yarns with Beef and Matt, I'm Matt.
And I'm Beef.
And today we're with the three head, I don't know what you'd be called, the three people in charge of running the Cluster Threes event down in Wellington. First of all, how are you guys feeling? First time you sat down in 48 hours? Or?
Yep, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
What are we saying? Success? Happy with it? Who wants to lead?
Yeah, people definitely look like they had fun, eh? Yeah, heaps of good feedback, eh?
I think CrossFit events are always good. It doesn't matter how big or small they are. Like, it's the community that makes it. So, you know, we probably didn't have as many teams as we would have really liked to have this weekend, to be honest. But you know, the ones that we did have, like, everybody just gets behind each other. It's a, you know, it's an all-out effort, isn't it? So, and I mean, look down there at all the volunteers that are helping us all pack up now while we're sitting up here. So,
well, you're still working.
that is true. We are still working. Yeah.
So we've had Dene on before. So we've heard enough out of you.
Yeah, I'll just sit here.
Want a bit of a background. Bit of a background on you two, like your journey into CrossFit. Let's start with that. So Linda, let's give us a bit of a background.
Okay, so I started CrossFit about 7 years ago. I should be really good by now, eh? But the boys reckon I'm going to go to the CrossFit Games when I'm 65. So there's a few years away.
It's ages away.
It's ages away. I need a log builder. So I started CrossFit about 7 years ago. The boys slowly came one by one, and at that stage I could still beat them. So, but that was very short-lived. And so they started one by one, and then the owner of our gym at the time, of CrossFit Selwyn, he kind of wanted out. He just kind of stretched himself a bit too far, so we saw it as an opportunity. It was probably cheaper for us to own the gym than it was to pay for gym memberships and our own, so that's kind of why we took it over. It took a while to get it off the ground because the boys were just kind of starting out coaching and you know, just kind of learning the ropes and so forth. And then once they left school and started competing in CrossFit, they sort of really got a taste for it, and so we thought, okay, you guys can have the reins. We've got another job that puts the food on the table, so you guys can start, you know, use it as an opportunity to run a business and see how you go with it. You know, we'll support you 100%. So that's what we've done, and so we've just kind of grown it from there. We've moved locations now, and so the gym's just growing, and the community is amazing. So we really love it, and we're really invested in CrossFit. So we won't be going anywhere soon.
Yeah, Ben did mention last night that he remembers the last workout you beat him in. He brought it up actually.
Did he?
Yeah. He said it was RX too, so he couldn't even take anything away.
There you go. There you go.
It still haunts him.
I don't think it haunts him.
And Luke, well, hey, look, we could do a whole episode on you alone, bro. So keep it short. Luke,
maybe I'll just like talk a little bit about in terms of like the affiliate and stuff.
Yeah.
I got into CrossFit in 2013 after playing rugby. Too many concussions, need to do something else, and so I started, I'd been personal training and running boot camps and stuff, and then the transition to CrossFit kind of slowly happened as I got more into it as an athlete. So I kind of took all these boot camp guys with me into a space and opened up an affiliate, and it took off from there. Like it took a while, you know, it took a few years, especially because I was trying to compete, and you know, training takes a lot of the day, so I probably wasn't running the business the way it should have been run, but it did allow me to do what I loved for many years. And in the last year or so, definitely since COVID and the lockdown, my focus has shifted a bit, hence opening a second facility, joining with Pete, Linda and Dene, and working on the events. Like, I think for me, CrossFit's given me so much, and I really want to give other people the same opportunities. I think there's a lot of opportunities out there, but there's a lot of sacrifice that needs to be made, and not everyone can own their own CrossFit gym and just train all day. That's a lot of risk, and so if we can help people to kind of fulfill that dream for them, if that's a dream that they want to live, that's why I'm getting into this. You know?
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, hard out. Yeah, I think Dean touched on it a bit in his episode, but how did the Cluster Threes come about?
That was actually more Dene, like from the beginning.
I guess it probably came about when Pete and Linda, when we ran twos together. So obviously I ran a comp called Redemption in my gym. I think I ran it 2 years there and then moved to the Albany Tennis Park. Linda came up, obviously already knew the Fowlers through the CrossFit scene. Awesome volunteer at first. They came up, did some awesome judging, and they mentioned to me they would be pretty keen to run a comp and get Cluster involved, and I was like, man, I just love this stuff, you know. Like, obviously you dive into comp straight away, not really like making money. You do it more for a passion thing with the bigger picture of hopefully like you know, like making a little bit of money, but obviously a gateway for athletes and affiliates to showcase themselves as well. And then when they mentioned that, I was like, yep, cool. We did 2s. I was like, oh man, with Redemption 2s, and then I'd spoken to Luke briefly about doing a comp in Wellington. I was like, Christchurch, Wellington, Auckland. I moved to the Gold Coast. Why don't we just create an event series? And I spoke to Pete and Linda about it, and Luke, and they were super keen. Yeah, so obviously buying into the Cluster fitness equipment and then running all these comps, it's a no-brainer really. Yeah. Yeah. So we've just gone for it.
Here we are.
I think obviously to start off with, like, this is our first real year where we've kind of got together and we're all sort of trying to feel our way as to, I guess, you know, what we're good at, what we like doing in terms of our roles within the company. You know, and there's a lot of goodwill involved this year, you know, like we are putting in a lot of time and energy, and, you know, not it hasn't grown to the point that, you know, we can make it a viable business yet, but it will, you know, like it's going to be in years to come, you know. We really feel like it's going to be a viable business that, and hopefully in terms of the athletes' eyes, what we want them to think of is, the Cluster series, we need to, you know, sign up for those events this year. So we want them to be first on their calendar, you know, like we spread them out through the year, and it doesn't clash with other events, and particularly the CrossFit Games season, then hopefully they're the events that the athletes will be drawn to. To come to.
Yeah, I think like one of the things in the community, especially over the last 10 years, we've seen so much change in terms of who's running comps, what comps are still running, like comps that I did in my early days of CrossFit, none of them exist anymore. And so I think a lot of people have this, they're a bit tentative about diving into supporting a competition like Cluster 3s or even New Zealand CrossFit Champs, because there's that thought of maybe this is going to be poorly run, it won't run on time, it will be a one year there and then the next year gone kind of thing. But we're really focused on making sure that it's got a solid foundation, that everything runs really smoothly, and that we have something that we can replicate like multiple times a year and year after year. So, you know, I think that's the thing for us. I feel like we're trying to just elevate the standard overall, and just hopefully over time people will start to understand what that actually looks like and what you know, what that means for them.
I think it definitely shows, like, the reason we did this podcast in the beginning was to put a spotlight on this side of the world. Like, what do we have to offer? And you only have to, like, talk. I mean, Dene was obviously our first point of contact. You see the passion, and, like, you know, that it's not just, fuck, I hope we make some money. You know what I mean? Like, it is, you want the sport to grow. You invest, like, heavily in what you're doing. And so for us coming down here was a no-brainer. I was like, we definitely want to support this event and the series as a whole, because we think, you know, like, the people involved are good people, and it makes it easier to support an event when you know the people running it, you know, aren't there to just take the piss. So
Clip the ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on the athlete side of things, we had a few games athletes. Luke Fiso.
Washed up.
It's obviously, you know, Royston, James and Bailey and Christy and Bryony and Marnie. Did I get them all? Yeah. Yep. Sweet hands. How do you go about getting them involved?
I guess it comes back to, and me and Luke spoke about this heaps, and I look at, I first met Luke down at a Judgment Day comp years ago. It was my first year of CrossFit. He was like the superstar in New Zealand, and I think I won the run by heaps. And I remember him shaking my hand, and I was like, "Oh man, like, this is cool."
I made it.
Yeah. I was like, like what a humble dude. He shook my hand and all this, but just seeing like how hard he worked and back in his day, and you know, not getting like there wasn't really anything to support him. He kind of did it all himself, and what I love about like when I ran Redemption and I hit Royce up, do you want to come over? He was the same. He was just like, yeah, man, like, I'll come over. And James has got to be one of the nicest guys I know, and kind of sponsored him this year, but he's like never asked for anything. Like, I'm trying to force some gear on him to help him out with his fibre stuff and his stands, and he just really genuine people, like we don't fork out thousands and thousands of dollars to get them over here. They just want to be part of it. I think they can see what we're doing. We're trying to build a bit of a presence for like athletes in New Zealand. That's what I mean. They want to see more New Zealand talent. They've seen it in Bailey and Marnie coming through. That's what we want to do as well with these comps. Like, we sponsor the winner of, we're moving it to NZ Champs actually, like, so that, they become sponsored, and that's shown, that's helped Bailey and Marnie like a fair bit in the last year as well, and moving over to Oz. But obviously we don't want all these New Zealand athletes having to move to Oz. If we can build these events up, showcase our athletes and support the affiliates, we're going to have a lot stronger like Kiwi athletes, or more athletes, Victorian and stuff like that. But back to the games athletes, they just like love it, want to be a part of it, and see what we're doing, and
Oh, they're good people too. And to just like touch on what you said there, like, it would have been nice to have what you guys were doing, say back in, I hate saying Luke Fiso's day, because we're also the same age and it makes me look old then. So, but you had like James Connew and Kev Manuel, and and especially James, if they had the same sort of like stepping stones that are like being presented today, they could have definitely been multiple games level athletes, like been at the games multiple years. So I think it's gonna hopefully. And I think it will. I know it will. It has to. You guys, you're invested and you're doing good things. So I think, it will, like you say, give the platform so that New Zealand athletes don't have to go over to Australia to sort of shine.
Yeah, even the guys here today, a lot of the teams and athletes that I've talked to throughout the weekend, they're all saying how cool it is to just see how close and how real these guys are. Like, they're beatable. I mean, not right now, but they can see, well, if I just did this, went a little bit faster here, or was slightly better at rope climbs, maybe I could have got them. So I think that's something that we miss out on a lot, because all of these guys are obviously overseas based, and it's very hard to pull them over unless you have good connections like Dene does. And our guys tend to have, like I had to travel for all the comps that I did, because that was the only way to get a chance to compete against them. So these guys are super lucky, and I think we need to keep building on that.
But it shows, like, Johan out there, 18, 19 years old, and like for him, he seems confident anyway. But for him, he seems, like you said, confident anyway. But for him to be like, I'm actually keeping up with Royce Dunn here. For then he'll go back to the gym like, man, I could probably do this. And then, definitely helps.
Well, that's funny you should say that, because I think the combined age of Johan, Luke and Ben's team compared to the combined age of Royce, James and Bailey's team, I think the difference was about almost 20 years.
Wow.
So it just goes to show, like as Luke says, these up and coming athletes that are in their very early 20s or still in their teens, if they can get those opportunities to compete against the likes of Royce and James, who've been around for a lot longer than they have, then it does mean they don't have to travel all the time. I mean, none of them have got any money, so they really need to have those opportunities presented to them here, so that they know where they're sitting on the world stage and they know where they've got to get to. I think that's really important. But apart from that, like if we're creating an event like what we created today, and what we've done with Cluster 2s and Redemption, and what we're going to do with NZ Champs, it doesn't matter what level you're at, you always feel like a games athlete when you finish that workout. You can be a scout athlete or an intermediate athlete. If you nail that workout, you feel like a games athlete, and that's how it should be. Everybody gets behind you. It doesn't matter what level you're at. Everybody congratulates you for what you've done, or and that's what it's all about. That's what I think. So
you guys have definitely made the perfect platform to make all of that happen, Going back to the weekend, was there any highlight moments for you guys over the weekend?
I think like James kicked it off with his deadlift. Everyone got around that. But what impressed me more was probably when the intermediate fella came out, I can't remember, I think it was from a BFT or something, and banged on 140, so I think it was an extra 10 than James.
240.
Sorry, 240.
Yeah.
And just pumped out 5 of them, and you could just see like everyone around was just so proud of him, and a little bit kind of like, I just outlifted a games athlete, you know.
I know, and it's a shame.
Yeah.
It's a shame they didn't get captured, and Luke read because Luke was judging him, and he said he could have done more, but he couldn't fit any more plates on.
People holding the outside of the plates on.
Yeah, can we get a calling on how heavy James's ended up being?
Luke.
4 reps at 230 and 1 rep at 225.
Royce walked up to the judge. He's like, "You need to put that down as 225 because the 5 fell off."
Yeah.
But as if it's like he's telling the judge that it counts.
Oh man, the video he's trying to put the plate back on, man.
Put it back on after the lift. It's like, I think it's too late now.
Oh man.
Hilarious.
How about you two? Any highlight moments from the?
Well, I was really impressed yesterday watching the lifting of the intermediate guys. I thought they were just phenomenal to watch, and I think it was really, that was their jam, obviously. You know, it was really cool to see them out there showcasing what they do well. You know, it's just as important to celebrate, intermediates and scaled athletes as it is to celebrate our elite
100%.
athletes. So, and those guys, as Dean said, they're lifting more than the elite guys. So that was pretty cool to watch. I really enjoyed that. But I don't know, I think, every comp, you should come away with feeling that you nailed every workout. As an organiser, and also as an athlete, you should feel like, they were really good workouts and they were really fun. The feedback that we got was really, really good on the programming and how the weekend was run. So that's got to be a win for us. I think that's awesome.
Awesome, man. You touched on it there. I know you guys are pressed for time. You could just get off whenever you want. But the program, how do you go about programming an event like this?
So with the CrossFit license event thing, that makes it so that we have to be a little bit more specific on what we program. So they ask us to have a certain time domain for one workout that's longer, the time domain is longer, another one that's shorter, one that's heavy, like all these things. So I had to keep them, so I programmed for the weekend, and keeping those things in mind, then went through the weekend. And then the other limitation is what gear we have available. We're pretty lucky because we've got all the cluster gear, massive rig, ropes, rings, anything we need really. But my thing is always I want athletes to come and show off. Like these guys train, like I know my guys at the gym train sometimes 2 or 3 hours a day. They're not professional athletes, they come after work and they put in all these hours. And for me, I think I don't want to embarrass them or have them stand there and feel like an idiot because they can't do a certain movement. I want to challenge them in a way, but I do want them to be able to show off things like their 5RM deadlift and compare themselves to games athletes. Or, going back to that favourite moment, probably one of my favourite moments was with the beginner females. I asked them to do toes to bar in the final event, and they were so scared. Afterwards, one of them came up to me and said, "I did all 10. It's the first time I've ever done them," and she gave me a big hug. And so that's a massive moment for me. And I want to do things like that, like just a little challenge, just enough to freak them out a little bit, but it's a massive win for them when they come off the floor.
That's I was down there doing the photos during that event, and I know who you're talking about, man. Like, she was trying so hard, man. It was really cool, man. Like everyone beside her, every time she got 1 rep, man. Wild, eh? It was really cool, man. And like you say, those should be celebrated just as much, if not more, than James lifting incredible amounts of weight. So.
And it's being pushed to that level too, that they walk away from here like, I can do it. I'm going to try hard. I'm going to get better. So
now that's their standard.
Exactly. I know you guys are going to go away and debrief properly, but any initial thoughts on areas for improvement from the weekend?
I think for NZ Champs, because it's our next event, and we've had a bit more time to probably focus on that, because we've been thinking about that since Cluster 2s, haven't we, at the beginning of the year. So we've got a lot of planning still to do, but I think, organisation-wise, I think we'll nail that a lot better this time, so that we've got everybody in the right places knowing what they've got to do for the whole weekend. We were very lucky that we had lots of volunteers come in, even at the last minute, from Luke and Emma's gym. So we're really thankful of that. But NZ Champs is another level again where we really want to step up and make sure that it's run on a really professional level. And we've all been to events like Torian, and I was lucky enough to be in Spain when Ben was competing last week. So we got to watch the Madrid Championships as well. So we've seen a lot of and obviously the games last year when we went with our team from CrossFit Selwyn. But so we've seen a lot of big events on the world stage, and that's what we want to aspire to, I think, as running an NZ Champs, and all of our events probably, because they are all CrossFit licensed events, and we do want to run them on that professional level like those other world events, and be known for running a great.
I would like to see as well. I guess this is not easy on the first event. If you look at a lot of the other big events around the world. There's some media team behind it, like you guys, but bigger, so that we're able to
being able to broadcast it.
If we could live stream it, that's kind of at the top level. But even just having like some
just real quick, find someone else for that.
It's not easy to find someone. But I mean, like, we can do all this good stuff, and on a weekend in Wellington, and a lot of people miss it because there's no way of actually seeing it. So it'd be really cool to be able to get it out, live stream it, have it somewhere that people can access even later on, and show off everything that these guys are doing.
Yeah, I think that is really important as well. I said when Dene jumped on us a while ago that I always said years ago that New Zealand should have, and in my head I called it New Zealand Champs, and I know it sounds like I'm making that up. I was like, we should have an event because I just finished watching. That's not what I'm trying to say. I just finished watching the Dubai CrossFit Champs, and I was like, man, why doesn't New Zealand have one of those? And I think, to your point there, like, it can be a massive event. It should be broadcast just like Madrid, just like Dubai, and it's CrossFit affiliated, which is massive, and it will draw over the same, hopefully, what Madrid gets and what Dubai gets. And I don't see why not. Like I said, we produce some athletes over here that just aren't broadcast, aren't shown. As we see, we're lucky enough to see it on the competition circuit just from being in New Zealand. So it'd be nice for the rest of the world to see, what's actually coming out of this country. So, how good. Closing remarks? I've got nothing. I'm all allowed to talk.
Just to you guys, I just want to say a massive thank you. I love what you guys are doing. Seeing it's sort of starting to explode the last few months, and again, it reflects on what we're trying to do with athletes and affiliates. Like, you guys are doing the exact same thing, you're like showcasing all these athletes, and well, not just athletes, but massive thanks to you guys and for coming down this weekend. And
thanks for having us.
Thanks for flying. I mean, we missed the first flight. But
I wasn't going to mention that. But,
look, we got to own it at this stage. Yeah. I just don't want to miss the flight back because I can't get my partner to double back and pick me up this time.
Definitely won't miss that.
No, we had to come down. It's not every day you get James Newbury as a roommate. So,
do we want to talk about that setup?
I don't think we should. I don't think we should go there, mate.
It was cozy. It was cozy. Anyway. All right, guys, thanks for sitting down. I know you guys are busy and you want to get back out there, but first of all, amazing event. So well done for that. And thanks again for coming, sitting down, spending some time at the end there. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Catch up.